Hello! Today in the lesson we will look at an example where we need to add 3 decimal fractions. What should we do in this case? Let's write down this example. So 13 whole 245 thousandths plus 9.88 hundredths. That amount is written in parentheses, and that plus 2.34 hundredths. So how do we find the sum of these numbers? Well, of course we can do these operations sequentially. That is, write down which action will be the first and which action will be the second. So the first action that we need to do is to find the sum of the numbers 13.245 thousandths and 9.88 hundredths, because this sum is in parentheses. According to the rules of action, we must perform the first action in parentheses. So 13.245 thousandths plus 9.88 hundredths. Let's remember the rules for adding decimal fractional numbers. The whole part is on the whole part, the dot under the dot. So 9 whole. I write down, where do I have the whole part? 13, so 9, I write down under the number 3, 9 whole. Notice how I put these dots. Write the numbers so that I have a dot underneath the dot. Next, I write the fractional part, 88. I notice right away that I don't have any number under the 5, so I add a 0. I write down 0. Now I add the given numbers together. To the 5, I add 0, 5. 4 plus 8 is 12. 2 I write down. 1 I memorize. 2 plus 8 is 10. And the 1 I memorize is 11. 1 I write, 1 I memorize again. I put a period. And now 3 plus 9 is 12. And the 1 I wrote down, I'll have 13. I write 3 and I memorize the 1 again. And now 1 plus. There is no number in this case either. I can also put a 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. And the 1 that I had to memorize will give me 2. That is 23.125 thousandths. And now I have to add to the result of the first step the number 2, 34 hundredths. Again, I write this number so that I have a dot under the dot. That is, I have to write down 2 integers so that I have the dot under the point. Now I write down the fractional part. I notice that again there is no number under the 5. So I write down 0 and I'm counting. 5 plus 0 would be 5. 2 plus 4 is 6. 1 plus 3 is 4. Period. Next, 3 plus 2 is 5. Again, I have no blank space, so I can safely write down 0. And 2 plus 0 would be 2. The resulting answer is 25 whole 465 thousandths. So guys, in order to add decimal fractions, you need to write the whole part under the whole part of the point under the point. And now let's look at another interesting example. Second example. 6 whole 4 25ths plus 2 whole 8 tenths. We need to add these 2 numbers together. What are we paying attention to? The point is that one number is a mixed fraction and the second number is a decimal fraction. We've learned the algorithm for adding decimals, and it turns out that the algorithm for adding decimals is much simpler than the algorithm for adding ordinary fractions. Why? Because when we add ordinary fractions, we have to bring them to the same denominator. And here we don't need to bring to the same denominator. Therefore, it is desirable to convert an ordinary fraction into a decimal fraction if possible. So what I want to do in this example. I want this number 6 whole 4/25. I want to write it down as a decimal, remembering how to write a mixed number as a decimal. To do that, I need the denominator to be either 10 or 100,000 and so on. You and I have been learning how to write, to bring a given fraction to a different denominator. And I'm checking. 100. What's the number? 100. Is 100 divisible by 25? Yes, it does. When I divide 100 by 25, I get 4. The result is 6.425, which brings me to the new denominator, which is 100. So 6.4 times 4, that's 16. 25 I multiply by 4, that's 100. The result is 6.16 hundredths. I can write this mixed number as a decimal. That is, I write 6 integers. After the dot, I have to have 2 positions because there are 2 zeros. And in the numerator, I have 16. 6.16 hundredths. So I write 6.425 as 6.16 hundredths. Hundredths plus 2.8 tenths. Now, it's very easy to add these numbers together in a column of 6.16 hundredths plus 2.8 tenths. Again, I know that there is no number under the 6. The numbers I write the numeral 0, so adding 6 plus 0 would be 6, 1 plus 8 would be 9, 1 plus 6 plus 2 would be 8. So we have an answer of 8.96 hundredths. So using the rule of decimal addition, we didn't convert a mixed number, the mixed number, to a decimal fraction, and not to the common denominator, but to the decimal notation of the number. Next class, we will learn how to subtract decimals. And that's all for today. Goodbye, and see you again.